Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, on this channel, it has been since March that we last did a 2024 Senate prediction. And we have more intel now than we had back then. We know who is running now, more so than we knew then. We also know who is not going to run. And there's still a lot of uncertainty about who the nominees are going to be. But nevertheless, we're going to fill this out. Will Republicans retake the Senate? Probably so. It is very likely that they do. Actually, we have to change the map to 2024 here because of the fact that it is now 2024. And technically, it's a little Easter egg feature on YapaMess that they do have where you have to type it in the URL. But nevertheless, we're going to get going. We're going to get started. We're going to fill out this map here. There are 34 Senate seats up for grabs. We're going to fill them out starting with the safe red states. We're going to start off here. Wyoming, Utah. We'll watch out for the Mitt Romney primary. We're going to have to be talking about that one over the next year. North Dakota, 2 in Nebraska. Those should both go safe red. You have Missouri, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Indiana also in the safe red column there. Now, on the Democrat side, we have many states in the safe blue column: California, Washington. When it comes to California, we probably will have 2 Dems that reach the final round. But Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Vermont, all in the safe blue column, as well as the state of New York there. And also Minnesota, I think we could possibly throw in because of Klobuchar. She probably is going to win by 10 plus. For some reason, she runs up the votes there every single time. She won by like 30 in 2018. She's probably going to win by much less than that, but she'll still win by more than 10. And on top of that, Hawaii will also be going in the safe column there. So we have 13 states that we have to fill out here. I think we also can throw West Virginia in the safe column as well. And this is a state that in 2020, it voted for Donald Trump by roughly 39 points. It voted for him by 42 in 2016. Manchin has never faced an election with Donald Trump on the ballot. And now, because Justice is running, probably is going to be the nominee. He's going to easily tank him. And who knows if Manchin's even going to run. Some people are saying he might run for president, or who knows what's going to happen there. But he says he doesn't go into races to lose them. He'd be going into this one to lose it, probably by a safe margin. So, nevertheless, let's move on to Maine. Put that one as likely D. I don't think that there's really anybody at the top of my head who's going to be able to go out there and flip it, but it does seem as if you will see Angus King retire. If not, he should still probably end up winning it by close to 10. Then you have the state of Virginia. It seems like Republicans are doing a little bit better there compared to in years past. You see a turnaround with the state party's competence, in part rallying behind their governor there, Glenn Youngkin, who's relatively popular. And I think you will see Virginia stay in the Democrat column. I don't even think if Youngkin himself were to run for this federal race, it would flip. But, I mean, depending on the candidate, it could be a lean Democrat margin or a likely Democrat margin. Tim Kaine is not super popular. He's not super unpopular either. As of right now, we'll put it as likely Democrat. So, Florida up next, which this state's zooming right. We know that. We saw that in the midterms. Rick Scott does have a tendency of winning elections by razor-thin margins his entire career. I think that stops. I think that you're going to see him win it by close to 10. Democrats there dropping the ball. They don't know who they possibly could recruit. It's probably going to be a total disaster in the state of Florida there. Also, the state of Texas, I think that that one is going to go in the likely Republican column as well. Ted Cruz, his ratings are sort of a little bit better than they were in 2018, where he took his victory for granted. On top of that, the Democrats are choosing somebody who they believe is this overperformer. The data kind of shows otherwise. And on top of that, he's made all these statements about guns that Beto made before he lost by more than 10. I think Cruz wins by close to 5 to 7 points or so, give or take. So we'll put that one as likely Republican for Cruz. So we'll put New Mexico as likely Dem. I don't know if Ronchetti's going to give it another run and lose with 45.6% of the vote or whatever he gets in every election as a margin of his loss. But who knows what will happen there. I do think that we can put that one as likely Dem. I don't think it's going to flip. On top of that, we can move over, and I believe we're going to start off with Pennsylvania. We'll do the Rust Belt, we'll do Montana, and then we'll do the last two competitive states that we usually do. So Pennsylvania, Bob Casey is an extremely strong incumbent, partially because of his last name. He votes like a party line Democrat, but still a lot of voters vote based on vibes. And I think that if we are going to flip this seat, Donald Trump has to be the nominee, and he's going to have to win Pennsylvania by more than 3. And on top of that, you're going to need a strong candidate. You're not going to get that in Dave McCormick if he runs. You have an out-of-state, out-of-touch, socially liberal, wealthy individual who's not a good fit for the state. We saw that with Dr. Oz. I don't know why people think putting up Dave McCormick is exactly going to make that any different. It's probably not. He's going to struggle with the same coalitions. And while Donald Trump likely is going to be able to go out there and do better than most other Republicans in Pennsylvania, they may outperform him down ballot so long as he gets the base out and they do well in the collar counties around Philadelphia. Not entirely sure it would be enough. I think I'll put this one as lean, but you could very well make a case for this one being likely Dem. On the other hand, you have Ohio. Ohio's an interesting race. A lot of people are surprisingly endorsing Bernie Moreno, who ran last time, polled at like 5%, dropped out, endorsed J.D. Vance. Vance is returning the favor. I mean, there's some questions in his past, the same way that a lot of people had a lot of questions about Vance's past. I don't believe he's like uneluctable like so many people say. He is somebody who is an outsider, would have a divided, primary field, which those two things don't bode well, but it's Ohio. Donald Trump is at the top of the ticket. Republicans ran a horrendous campaign in 2018 against Sherrod Brown and only came like 6 to 7 points away from defeating him. A lot of polls thought he would win by double digits. He didn't. I don't think his popularity is as big as they say it is, and Ohio is trending right. I think you could put this one as lean Republican. Does depend on who the nominee is, but this is a seat Republicans, especially with Donald Trump at the top of the ticket and those Ohio trends, this is a Senate seat Republicans should be keeping in their column come next November. Now, Michigan. Democrats are rallying behind Alyssa Slotkin. We don't know who the Republicans are going to nominate. Maybe James Craig is going to try to throw his hat in the ring, get on the ballot this time. I don't know. If the state party was competent, I would feel a lot more hopeful about the state of Michigan, but it's not. And even though you could make a case for Donald Trump somehow transcending that, winning the state if he has a very, very good night, the Senate seat is one that's going to be a little bit difficult to really crack, especially because Democrats tend to have their nominee. I don't see Republicans finding somebody that is going to go out there and win it. But as of right now, I think Michigan we're going to be putting, or not the Republican column, we're going to be putting that one in the lean to likely Democrat side of things, possibly lean close to likely. Same thing with Pennsylvania. The next state on this list is the state of Wisconsin. And we saw Republicans win it in 2022, despite being outspent. And even though they lost the Supreme Court race in the state of Wisconsin, I still think that Donald Trump, if he is the nominee, is going to take the state in November of 2024. Now, Republicans have a primary issue there. A lot of people are saying, well, David Clark is going to get the nomination and then he'll lose because of all the skeletons in his closet. I don't think he's going to get the nomination. I don't even know if he's going to run. Tom Tiffany will very likely run. He's a very solid representative in northern Wisconsin, overperformed in 2022 and is still very solid on the issues and probably the best congressman in the state of Wisconsin, one could say. And as a result, I believe that he'll probably do better than Trump in the WOW counties surrounding Milwaukee, which are historically, ancestrally Republican. He'd do very well in northern Wisconsin. Trump would carry him in southwestern part. I think he could very well go out there and knock off Tammy Baldwin. I don't think that that's an outlandish thing to say. I think it depends on a lot, but as of right now, we may have to leave that one in the toss-up column. But for right now, the gut is saying tilt Republican. We're going to go tilt Republican in the condition that Tom Tiffany is the Republican nominee. Up next, we have Montana. Jon Tester is essentially a party line vote for Joe Biden. He's shown no signs of stopping, and the fact that he won in 2018, you could attribute almost entirely to the national environment / there was no strong top of the ticket for Republicans, and you had very low turnout. However, when it comes to Donald Trump being on the ballot, we saw Steve Daines face off against Steve Bullock, who essentially is Tester, but a more, popular form statewide, who was their governor at the time, high approvals, still lost by 10. I know Daines is probably a stronger candidate than a lot of the people Republicans may put up, electorally speaking, funding-wise, etc., you name it. But still, I do believe that in terms of Montana, that one should flip. And that'll give Republicans 53 seats in the Senate if they are able to get it. And I believe that it's going to go red probably by around 5 points or so. I think Trump wins the state by like 17 to 20. I can't really see Tester outperforming Biden in the margin by like a net 15. So we're going to make that state Republican. It's a red state. Polarization, it'll kick in and it'll kick out Jon Tester. So Arizona, Nevada. Now here we go, because the state of Nevada is interesting, and there's no Republican candidate I see running that would be really that formidable. And this rating could change as time goes on. I think Jackie Rosen's vulnerable. I think we can knock her off. I also do believe that Donald Trump, if he's the nominee, will win the state of Nevada. If DeSantis somehow edges him out, which I really don't see that happening, Nevada's still in play for him as well. It's going to be a very close state. And I think that as of right now, I'll put this one as tilt Democrat, because you do have an incumbent you have to knock off, and it just depends on a lot we don't know. I probably had this as tilt red in the last video, but it doesn't seem like Adam Laxalt's going to run, even though this time around he'd probably know how to navigate the snowstorm a bit better. And then up next, we have the state of Arizona, which is an interesting one because you have a three-way race in Arizona. Kyrsten Sinema was this Democrat who tries to pass herself off as being more bipartisan or whatever than she actually is. However, at the end of the day, she's been a party line vote. She's going to caucus entirely with the Dems. She probably takes away a lot of those supposed McCain Republicans that everyone thinks exist in a lot higher number than they actually do. A lot of those people might be voting third party anyways at the presidential level. They may be voting for Joe Biden in many cases. They're like the Romney-Biden coalition. They're overstated, but they do exist nonetheless. That's her base. I think Gallego will be the Dem nominee. He's insane. A lot of Democrats even are not really thinking that he's somebody who's that mentally stable and eluctable, whatever. And then on the Republican side, we don't know what's going to happen. Some people are saying Carrie Lake may run for the Senate seat. I don't know. She's thinking about it, but it seems like she's less likely to enter now than she was a few months ago. Still on the table. You only need 46, 47% to win in the three-way race. I think Lake could get that. I know she's become a figure that even some people on the right are criticizing her post-election actions. A lot of other people on the right are praising them. And then you look at somebody like Blake Masters, who this time around, there's a very good shot that he could position himself as a stronger candidate. Seems like the type of guy to learn from some of his mistakes regarding the whole Social Security debacle. And Kelly is a strong fundraiser. Gallego, maybe not so much. I think Masters will stand on more equal ground. Funding matters less in a presidential race. I think if Masters is the nominee, I don't know who else would potentially run for this, but I think that this one is probably, if I have to pick, going to flip, because you don't have a strong incumbent. You have an incumbent that is going to be taking votes more away from the Dems than the Republicans at this point. And Republicans just need to ride Trump's coattails to a certain extent. Trump doesn't even need to win Arizona for them to ride his coattails to get the percentage necessary to flip that seat. So here's my take. 54 to 46. I know a lot of people thought we'd get around 53, 54 Senate seats or so in terms of the 2022 midterms. We didn't get there. But this time around, it's different in the sense that we have a map that's more favorable and that it's a presidential year. And those two things we did not have going for us in the midterms. The red wave doesn't really carry the Senate funding. If so, you probably would have seen the Senate flip in 2010. And in terms of what we saw in 2014, a lot of those seats that flipped were in deep red areas, and they had these supposed fake moderate Democrat senators that were either retiring or they were just washed away by the low turnout. So nevertheless, 54 for the Republicans, 46 for the Democrats in this map right here. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.